going on, everyone? We got a brand new ranking today. Today I'm going to be ranking all three Monsterverse films. Yeah, we got Godzilla, Godzilla 2, King of Monsters, and of course Kong Sky Island. This is going to be definitely a fun ranking list. And if you guys are new here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you guys never miss out on our ranking list, early movie reviews, and other sorts of geeky content over on this channel. Plus, you guys can also go over to Sandwich on Films and how to see films early. And of course, the most important part is making sure to comment down below and let me know what your ranking list is of all of the Monsterverse. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on there. And of course, leave your prediction down below for King Kong versus Godzilla. Who's gonna win in that fight as we get that film next year in 2020, directed by Adam Wingard, which, whew, I love that director, so I'm definitely excited to see what he can bring to the table. But without further ado, let's start this ranking right now. Of course, coming in at number 3 is Kong Sky Island. Now, I actually liked Kong Sky Island a little bit more the first time I saw it, and then watching it again, I still liked it, but the issues were more apparent. I think this film is very well directed from a cinematography and action standpoint. The fight scenes are awesome. The action cinematography, everything looks kind of like a video game, and the way the director kind of stylized his style in this gets me really excited for what he can possibly do with that Metal Gear Solid film that he's been talking about. We're not talking about Metal Gear Solid, though. We're talking about Kong Sky Island. I think this is a fun prequel. It is definitely a fun movie. This goes again to saying that this is surface level characters with this many actors in here that are top notch. Come on, you have Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, John C. Reilly, and the list even goes on from there. A little bit of waste of potential in my opinion with that group of cast members. Definitely gone for less surface level stuff and still had the monster stuff. I go and contend that the Peter Jackson King Kong film is still one of the best monster films ever made. And I think Kong Sky Island did miss the mark in a lot of those aspects. Still a fun, entertaining time though, and it does open up the world to more of the Monsterverse while having those small connections to Godzilla. Coming in at number 2 is Godzilla 2014, which is directed by Gareth Edwards. Now, I really like Gareth Edwards' direction in this film. I think his direction is the strongest standpoint of this whole film, and in fact is the strongest direction out of all these films. Definitely this Godzilla has a different tone than the newest Godzilla, and I'll get to that because, spoiler alert, it is my favorite Godzilla film. But my number 2, the reason that this Godzilla is here, it isn't because that there's less Godzilla. I don't mind that. I just didn't care for anything else in the film. I did like the perspective that Gareth Edwards decided to shoot this film, the way that he shot it from the POV from the soldiers and showing how gigantic Godzilla is. It leaves it for more of a horrifying tone, and actually it was a nice entryway into this Godzilla world, and especially rewatching it this last couple of days, there's definitely are still some slow parts, but I think the human element in here was actually done a little bit better, with the most part with Bryan Cranston's character. I think anything with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Scarlet Witch herself, Elizabeth Olsen, I think those aspects could have been way better, and Bryan Cranston should have not have died of as early as he did, but I do think this Godzilla does have a ferocious third act that is excellent. But everything else, really the biggest pro I have for this film is the direction that Gareth decided to take with this film from that perspective of the soldiers. And I understand now looking back, like, okay, this isn't just a typical monster movie. This is a more smarter Godzilla film. I definitely think if the script was a little bit more tinkered with and had more elements to it that did more into the human characters, I think we would have had a stronger film overall. Of course, coming in at my number 1 is Godzilla King of Monsters. Now, this is the movie, this is the brand new Godzilla film, and it hit every single mark for me that I truly wanted it to be. Is it a great film? No. No. This isn't even one of the best films, but it is definitely one of the most entertaining films I've watched all year long. It is total kaiju battles, and I think Michael Daughtry understood that when going into this film. People complain that there are too many human elements. Guess what? We're going to throw in some human elements, but we're also going to throw in a ton more kaiju, and they're all in here. This really feels like a total throwback to the original Godzilla films that we got in the 60s, and that's kind of why I appreciated this. Is the human element still the weakest part? Absolutely. Is the story a little bit bland? Absolutely. Are the humans just spewing off exposition? Absolutely. But the thing is I'm kind of like a guilty pleasure for exposition, mythology, world building. That's kind of where I am. I'm kind of a guilty pleasure for these mythology, world building, exposition scenes, and don't get me wrong, they're not the best, but when it comes inside a cheesy Godzilla film, where I think Godzilla 2 King of Monsters at times is cheesy, and the one-liners in here are bad, and the family element and the story element with the humans is not the best, I will still contend that it is better than the original Godzilla from a couple years back. I think this film is a ton of fun. Might have a different style and direction definitely to the whole thing, and not really taking from the same perspective as the first one. Some of the scenes might be a little bit shot differently, but when it comes down to those battle scenes, it hit the mark for me. It was a total blast in the theaters. This is a film that you need to see in IMAX. Godzilla kicks ass. King Ghidorah is fucking awesome. Excuse my language. And of course, seeing Rodon and Mothra on scene is great. And the fact that they made me care so much about some of these monsters got me super hyped. I'm definitely more hyped now for Kong versus Godzilla next year, and I can't wait to talk with you guys down below about that. So let me know, guys, what do you guys think? Who's going to win that next fight? Let's see. What is your favorite Godzilla film? What is your favorite film in this whole Monsterverse? Let's talk about it. Rank it down below for me so we can comment and have a great discussion. But of course, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this. And until next time, stay classy.